Picture this, a woman of unparalleled beauty, her hair flowing like silk, her presence commanding the attention of gods and mortals alike. But in a single, fateful moment, her life was shattered, her beauty twisted into something monstrous, her very gaze capable of turning men to stone. This is the story of Medusa, one of the most enigmatic and tragic figures in ancient mythology. Her tale is not just one of curses and monsters, but of power, betrayal, and the enduring legacy of a woman who defied the gods. Today, we dive deep into the labyrinth of myths surrounding Medusa, unraveling 25 ancient stories that reveal the layers of her cursed fate. From her origins as a mortal priestess to her transformation into a Gorgon, and the ripple effects of her story across cultures and centuries, Medusa's legacy is as complex as it is haunting. So stay with us as we uncover the truths, the mysteries, and the timeless lessons hidden within her myth. By the end of this journey, you'll see Medusa not just as a monster, but as a symbol of resilience, transformation, and the power of storytelling itself. Let's begin. Now, let's step back to the very beginning, to the roots of Medusa's story, where her origins reveal a family as fascinating as it is fearsome. Medusa was not born a monster. She was one of the three Gorgon sisters, daughters of the ancient sea deities Phorcys and Ceto. But here's where her story takes a unique turn. Unlike her sisters Athena and Uriel, who were immortal, Medusa was mortal. This distinction set her apart, making her both vulnerable and central to the myths that would follow. The Gorgons were a trio of sisters who lived at the edge of the known world, far from the reach of mortals. Athena and Uriel, with their immortality, were figures of terror, their very existence a reminder of the gods' power. But Medusa, the youngest, was different. Her mortality made her relatable, a bridge between the divine and the human. Yet it also made her a target, a pawn in the games of gods and heroes. The significance of Medusa's family in Greek mythology cannot be overstated. Phorcys and Ceto were primordial beings, representing the untamed and chaotic forces of the sea. Their children, including the Gorgons, embodied the darker, more mysterious aspects of the natural world. Medusa's lineage tied her to these ancient powers, but her mortal nature added a layer of tragedy to her story. She was both a part of this fearsome family and an outsider, a duality that would define her fate. As we explore Medusa's origins, it's important to understand that her story is not just about her transformation into a monster, but about the complex web of relationships and powers that shaped her life. Her mortal status, her immortal sisters, and her divine parents all played a role in the events that would lead to her cursed fate. And as we'll see, these origins are just the beginning of a tale that continues to captivate and haunt us to this day. With this foundation laid, let's move forward to uncover how Medusa's beauty and her role as a priestess of Athena set the stage for the tragedy that would change her forever. Now, let's turn our attention to a pivotal moment in Medusa's story, a time when her beauty was as legendary as her eventual curse. Before she became the feared Gorgon, Medusa was renowned for her striking appearance, a beauty so extraordinary that it drew the attention of gods and mortals alike. Her radiant features and captivating presence made her one of the most admired figures in her time, and it was this very beauty that would set the stage for her tragic downfall. Medusa's life took a significant turn when she became a priestess of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare. As a devoted servant in Athena's temple, Medusa was expected to uphold the virtues of purity and devotion. Her role was one of honor, a testament to her piety and dedication. But her beauty, though a gift, also made her a target. It was in Athena's sacred temple that Medusa's fate would be sealed, not by her own actions, but by the desires and wrath of the gods. The turning point came when Poseidon, the god of the sea, became infatuated with Medusa. Overcome by desire, he pursued her relentlessly, even within the sanctity of Athena's temple. Despite Medusa's resistance, Poseidon's power was overwhelming, and he violated her in the very place meant to honor Athena. This act of sacrilege would have dire consequences, not for Poseidon but for Medusa. Athena, enraged by the desecration of her temple, directed her fury not at Poseidon but at Medusa. In a cruel twist of fate, the goddess transformed Medusa into a Gorgon, cursing her with a head of writhing snakes and a gaze that turned all who looked upon her to stone. This punishment was not just a physical transformation but a symbolic one, stripping Medusa of her beauty and humanity and marking her as a monster for all eternity. The myth of Medusa's transformation is often interpreted as a tale of divine injustice, where the victim bears the brunt of the god's anger. Her beauty, once a source of admiration, became the catalyst for her curse. Her role as a priestess meant to protect her instead made her a pawn in the conflicts of the divine, and her resistance to Poseidon's advances, far from earning her sympathy, led to her ultimate downfall. As we reflect on this chapter of Medusa's story, it's impossible not to see the layers of tragedy woven into her fate. Her beauty, her devotion, and her vulnerability all played a part in shaping the myth that continues to resonate with us today. And as we move forward, we'll explore how this curse transformed not just Medusa, but the world around her, leaving an indelible mark on mythology and beyond. Now, as we delve deeper into Medusa's story, we arrive at the moment that defines her legacy, the curse itself. Athena's punishment was not just a physical alteration, but a profound transformation that redefined Medusa's very existence. Her once flowing hair, a symbol of her beauty, was replaced by a writhing mass of venomous snakes. This was no mere aesthetic change. It was a mark of her new identity as a Gorgon, a creature feared and reviled by all who encountered her. The snakes, often associated with danger and chaos in mythology, became a permanent reminder of her cursed state, a living testament to the god's wrath. But the curse did not stop there. Athena also granted Medusa the power to turn anyone who met her gaze to stone. This ability, while fearsome, was also isolating. It ensured that Medusa could never again be seen as human, nor could she form connections with others. Her gaze, once a source of admiration, became a weapon of destruction, a reflection of the divine retribution she now embodied. The act of turning men to stone was not just a physical transformation but a symbolic one, representing the petrification of life, hope, and connection. The symbolism behind Medusa's transformation is rich and multifaceted. On one level, it represents the consequences of divine anger, a reminder that the god's justice is often harsh and unforgiving. On another, it reflects the societal fear of female power and autonomy. Medusa's curse stripped her of her humanity, turning her into a monster, but it also gave her a form of power, albeit a destructive one. Her story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of beauty, desire, and the capriciousness of the gods. As we consider the layers of meaning behind Medusa's curse, it's clear that her transformation was more than just a punishment. It was a statement, a way for Athena to assert her authority and protect her sacred space. Yet, it also raises questions about justice and fairness, as Medusa, the victim, bore the brunt of the gods' anger while Poseidon, the instigator, faced no consequences. This imbalance adds another layer of tragedy to Medusa's story, making her a figure of both fear and sympathy. With this curse, Medusa's life was irrevocably changed. She was no longer the beautiful priestess of Athena, but a creature of myth and terror. Her transformation set the stage for the next chapter of her story, one that would see her become a central figure in the heroic tales of Perseus and a symbol of both danger and power in the ancient world. As we move forward, we'll explore how this curse shaped not only Medusa's fate, but also the myths and legends that surround her. Now, as we follow Medusa's journey, we find her exiled to the remote and desolate island of Sarpedon. This isolated place, far removed from the bustling cities and sacred temples of ancient Greece, became her prison and her sanctuary. The island itself was shrouded in mystery, a place where few dared to venture. Its rocky cliffs and treacherous waters made it nearly inaccessible, a fitting home for a creature as feared as Medusa. Here she lived in solitude, her presence casting a shadow over the land, turning it into a place of dread and danger. The island of Sarpedon was not just a physical location but a symbol of Medusa's isolation. Cut off from the world, she became a figure of legend, her name whispered in fear by sailors and travelers. Those who dared to approach the island often met a grim fate, their ships dashed against the rocks or their crews turned to stone by her gaze. The island became a boundary between the known world and the realm of monsters, a place where the rules of humanity no longer applied. For Medusa, Sarpedon was both a refuge and a prison. It offered her a place to hide from the world that had rejected her, but it also deepened her loneliness. The island's harsh environment mirrored her inner turmoil, a landscape as barren and unforgiving as her cursed existence. Yet, even in this desolate place, Medusa's power remained undiminished. Her lair became a place of legend, a destination for heroes seeking glory and adventurers drawn by curiosity or folly. The dangers of Sarpedon were not limited to Medusa herself. The island was said to be guarded by other creatures, remnants of the ancient world that thrived in its isolation. These beings, whether real or imagined, added to the island's reputation as a place of peril. For those who sought to reach Medusa, the journey was fraught with challenges, from navigating the treacherous waters to surviving the island's harsh terrain. It was a test of courage and determination, one that few could pass. As we reflect on Medusa's life on Sarpedon, we see a figure both powerful and tragic. Her isolation on the island underscores the depth of her curse, a punishment that extended beyond her physical transformation. It also highlights the fear and fascination she inspired, a reminder of the thin line between heroism and hubris. The island of Sarpedon, with its dangers and mysteries, became an integral part of Medusa's myth, a place where her story continued to unfold. From this remote lair, Medusa's influence reached far beyond the island's shores, shaping the myths and legends of the ancient world. Her presence on Sarpedon set the stage for the next chapter of her story, one that would bring her face to face with the hero Perseus and cement her place in the pantheon of mythological figures. As we move forward, we'll explore how this encounter would change not only Medusa's fate but also the legacy she left behind. Now, as the story unfolds, we turn our attention to the hero Perseus, a figure whose name would become forever intertwined with Medusa's fate. Perseus, the son of Zeus and Danae, was no ordinary mortal. His birth was marked by prophecy and his life destined for extraordinary challenges. But it was his quest to slay Medusa that would define his legacy, a mission that would test his courage, ingenuity, and resolve. Perseus's journey began not out of personal ambition, but as a response to a dire situation. King Polydex, ruler of Seriphos, had set his sights on Perseus's mother, Danae, and sought to remove the young hero as an obstacle. To achieve this, Polydex devised a cunning plan. He demanded that Perseus bring him the head of Medusa, a task he believed to be impossible, for who could face the Gorgon and live to tell the tale? Yet Perseus accepted the challenge, setting in motion a quest that would become one of the most celebrated tales in Greek mythology. But Perseus did not embark on this perilous journey alone. Recognizing the enormity of the task, the gods themselves intervened. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, and Hermes, the messenger god and patron of travelers, offered their aid. Athena provided Perseus with a polished shield, its surface so reflective that it could serve as a mirror, allowing him to avoid Medusa's deadly gaze. Hermes, on the other hand, gifted him a curved sword forged with divine precision, capable of severing the Gorgon's head. Together, these tools would prove essential in Perseus's confrontation with Medusa. The significance of Perseus's mission extended far beyond the personal stakes. Slaying Medusa was not merely a test of heroism, it was a symbolic act, a confrontation with the monstrous and the unknown. Medusa, with her petrifying gaze and serpentine hair, represented the ultimate challenge, a force of chaos that threatened the order of the world. By defeating her, Perseus would not only secure his own glory but also restore balance, proving that even the most fearsome of creatures could be overcome with courage and divine favor. As Perseus prepared for his journey, the weight of his task became clear. He was not just a hero seeking to fulfill a king's demand. He was a champion chosen by the gods, a mortal tasked with confronting the embodiment of terror itself. The quest for Medusa's head would take him to the farthest reaches of the known world, to the desolate island of Sarpedon, where danger and destiny awaited. With the guidance of Athena and Hermes, Perseus set out on a path that would lead him to the heart of Medusa's lair. His journey would be fraught with challenges, from navigating treacherous seas to outwitting ancient guardians. Yet, armed with divine gifts and unwavering determination, Perseus pressed forward, ready to face the Gorgon and carve his name into the annals of myth. As we follow Perseus's quest, we see not just the story of a hero, but a tale of transformation and triumph. His encounter with Medusa would not only change his own fate, but also leave an indelible mark on the world of myth, a reminder of the power of courage, ingenuity, and the favor of the gods. And so, with his mission clear and his tools at hand, Perseus stepped into the unknown, ready to confront the legend of Medusa and claim his place among the greatest heroes of all time. As Perseus ventured closer to his fateful encounter with Medusa, the divine tools he carried became more than mere objects. They were symbols of ingenuity and divine favor. Among these, the shield gifted by Athena stood out as a masterpiece of strategy and foresight. Crafted with unparalleled skill, its surface gleamed like a mirror, reflecting the world around it with perfect clarity. This was no ordinary shield. It was a weapon of intellect designed to outwit the Gorgon's deadly gaze rather than confront it head-on. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, understood the nature of Medusa's curse better than anyone. She knew that direct confrontation would be fatal, for even the bravest hero could not withstand the petrifying power of Medusa's eyes. Instead, Athena's shield offered a solution rooted in cunning and precision. By using the reflective surface to navigate Medusa's lair, Perseus could avoid looking directly at her, turning her own curse into a tool for her defeat. This ingenious approach highlighted not only Athena's wisdom, but also the importance of strategy over brute force in the face of overwhelming danger. The shield's role in the myth goes beyond its practical use. It represents the triumph of intellect over fear, a reminder that even the most terrifying challenges can be overcome with careful planning and divine guidance. For Perseus, the shield was more than a means to an end. It was a testament to the power of collaboration between mortals and gods, a partnership that elevated his quest from a mere act of heroism to a legendary feat. As Perseus approached Medusa's lair, the shield became his most trusted ally. Its reflective surface allowed him to navigate the darkness of her cave, revealing her location without risking a direct glance. This clever tactic ensured that Perseus could strike with precision, severing Medusa's head in a single, decisive blow. The shield's role in this moment underscores the myth's deeper themes: the value of wisdom, the necessity of preparation, and the transformative power of divine intervention. In the hands of Perseus, Athena's shield became a symbol of hope and ingenuity, a tool that turned the tide of battle against an almost invincible foe. Its legacy endures as a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the right strategy and a little divine help can lead to victory. And so, as Perseus prepared to face Medusa, the shield stood as a testament to the power of intellect, a beacon of light in the darkness of her lair. With this divine tool in hand, Perseus was ready to confront the Gorgon. setting the stage for one of the most iconic moments in Greek mythology. But his journey was far from over, and the challenges ahead would test not only his courage but also his ability to wield the gifts of the gods with wisdom and precision. As Perseus set out on his journey to confront Medusa, the path ahead was fraught with danger and mystery. His first challenge came in the form of the Graeae, three ancient sisters who shared one eye and one tooth among them. These eerie figures were not only guardians of the Gorgons but also a source of crucial knowledge. Perseus, guided by Athena's wisdom, knew that to reach Medusa's lair he would need their help. With quick thinking, he seized their shared eye, holding it hostage until they revealed the location of the nymphs, who possessed the tools he needed for his quest. This encounter showcased Perseus's resourcefulness, proving that even the most daunting obstacles could be overcome with wit and determination. Leaving the Graeae behind, Perseus continued his journey, eventually finding the nymphs of the north. These divine beings provided him with three invaluable gifts: a pair of winged sandals, a magical satchel, and the cap of invisibility. The winged sandals allowed him to soar through the skies, granting him speed and agility. The satchel, enchanted to safely contain Medusa's head, ensured that her deadly gaze would not harm him after her defeat. And the cap of invisibility, perhaps the most extraordinary of the three, allowed Perseus to move unseen, a crucial advantage in his mission. These gifts transformed Perseus from a determined hero into a figure of near-divine capability, equipping him for the trials ahead. With these tools in hand, Perseus pressed on toward Medusa's lair, a place shrouded in darkness and dread. The journey itself was a test of his resolve, as the path was treacherous and the air thick with foreboding. Yet Perseus remained undeterred, driven by his promise to slay the Gorgon and fulfill his destiny. Each step brought him closer to the heart of the myth, where the line between hero and legend would blur. As he approached the island of Sarpedon, the tension grew palpable. The lair of the Gorgons was no ordinary place. It was a realm of nightmares, where the very air seemed to tremble with Medusa's cursed presence. Perseus, armed with the gifts of the gods and the shield of Athena, prepared to face the ultimate challenge. His journey to this point had been a testament to courage, ingenuity, and the power of divine favor. Now, standing at the threshold of Medusa's domain, he was ready to confront the monster whose name struck fear into the hearts of mortals and gods alike. This phase of Perseus's quest highlights the importance of preparation and the role of allies, both mortal and divine. It also underscores the myth's central theme, that even the most terrifying adversaries can be overcome with the right tools, strategy, and a touch of divine intervention. As Perseus stepped into the darkness of Medusa's lair, the stage was set for a confrontation that would echo through the ages, a moment where heroism and myth would collide in unforgettable fashion. As Perseus stepped into the shadowy depths of Medusa's lair, the air grew heavy with an almost tangible sense of dread. The walls seemed to pulse with the echoes of countless victims who had met their end here, turned to stone by the Gorgon's petrifying gaze. Medusa herself lay sleeping, her serpentine hair writhing faintly even in slumber, a chilling reminder of the curse that had transformed her into a monster. Perseus, armed with the polished shield of Athena, knew that one wrong move could seal his fate. He moved with deliberate caution, his heart pounding as he angled the shield to catch Medusa's reflection, avoiding her direct gaze. The tension was unbearable, each step a gamble between life and death. With the shield guiding him, Perseus closed the distance, his grip tightening on the sickle-shaped sword gifted to him by Hermes. The moment had come. In one swift, decisive motion, he struck, severing Medusa's head from her body. The act was as much a triumph of strategy as it was of courage, a testament to the ingenuity and divine guidance that had brought him this far. But the victory was not without its consequences. From Medusa's severed neck sprang two beings, Pegasus, the majestic winged horse, and Chrysaor, the warrior with the golden sword. These miraculous births added a layer of wonder to the grim scene. a reminder that even in death, Medusa's power was far from extinguished. Perseus wasted no time. Using the enchanted satchel provided by the nymphs, he carefully placed Medusa's head inside, ensuring her gaze could no longer harm him. The lair, once a place of terror, now felt eerily silent, as if the very walls mourned the loss of their monstrous guardian. Yet for Perseus, this was not the end but the beginning of a new chapter. With Medusa's head as both a trophy and a weapon, he prepared to leave the island of Sarpedon, his mission far from over. The slaying of Medusa marked a turning point not only in Perseus's journey but also in the myth itself. It was a moment where mortal courage met divine strategy, where the impossible became possible through sheer will and preparation. The aftermath of her death rippled through the myth, leaving behind a legacy of both terror and wonder. For Perseus, the head of Medusa would become a symbol of his triumph, a tool of immense power, and a reminder of the thin line between heroism and hubris. As he emerged from the lair, the weight of what he had accomplished settled upon him. The journey ahead would test him in new ways, but for now, he carried with him the proof of his victory, a victory that would echo through the ages, immortalizing both the hero and the monster in the annals of myth. Now, as we delve deeper into the aftermath of Medusa's demise, we uncover the extraordinary powers hidden within her blood, a force that embodied both creation and destruction. When Perseus severed Medusa's head, her blood spilled onto the earth, and from it sprang two remarkable beings, Pegasus, the winged horse of legend, and Chrysaor, the warrior wielding a golden sword. These miraculous births were no accident. In Greek mythology, Medusa's blood carried a profound duality, symbolizing the balance between life and death, beauty and horror. Pegasus, born from the blood that fell into the sea, became a symbol of freedom and inspiration, his wings carrying him to the heavens where he served the gods. Chrysaor, whose name means golden sword, emerged as a figure of strength and power, embodying the martial prowess that Medusa's blood seemed to bestow. Together, these beings represented the life-giving aspect of her curse, a stark contrast to the petrifying gaze that had defined her in life. Yet, Medusa's blood was not solely a source of life. In other myths, it was said to possess deadly properties. Some tales claim that a single drop of her blood could poison the land, withering crops and turning rivers to dust. Others suggest that her blood, when used by those who knew its secrets, could be a weapon of immense destruction. This duality, creation and annihilation, mirrored the complexity of Medusa herself, a figure both cursed and powerful, feared and revered. The symbolism of Medusa's blood extends beyond the physical. It serves as a reminder of the thin line between life and death, the potential for both beauty and terror within the same source. Her blood, like her story, challenges us to see beyond the surface, to recognize the layers of meaning embedded in her myth. As we reflect on the powers of Medusa's blood, we see how it encapsulates the essence of her legacy, a legacy that continues to captivate and inspire. From the birth of Pegasus to the deadly potential of her blood, Medusa's story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there is the potential for wonder and transformation. And so, her blood, like her gaze, leaves an indelible mark on the tapestry of myth, a testament to the enduring power of her tale. With this understanding, we now turn to the next chapter of Medusa's legacy, where her blood's miraculous offspring takes center stage, shaping the myths that follow. Now, as we shift our focus to one of the most iconic figures born from Medusa's blood, we encounter Pegasus, the majestic winged horse whose story soars through the annals of Greek mythology. Born from the droplets of Medusa's blood that fell into the sea, Pegasus emerged as a symbol of divine inspiration and untamed freedom. His very existence was a testament to the paradoxical nature of Medusa's legacy, a creature of beauty and grace arising from a moment of violence and tragedy. Pegasus quickly became a beloved figure among the gods, earning a place in the heavens as a constellation. His wings carried him to Mount Olympus, where he served Zeus, the king of the gods, by delivering thunder and lightning. But Pegasus was more than just a divine messenger. He became a muse for poets and artists, embodying the power of imagination and the boundless possibilities of the human spirit. In many ways, Pegasus represented the triumph of creativity over chaos, a reminder that even in the wake of destruction, something extraordinary can emerge. One of the most famous tales involving Pegasus is his partnership with the hero Bellerophon. Together, they embarked on a series of legendary adventures, including the slaying of the fearsome Chimera, a fire-breathing monster that terrorized the land. With Pegasus by his side, Bellerophon achieved feats that would have been impossible alone, showcasing the winged horse's role as a symbol of courage and partnership. However, their story also carries a cautionary note. When Bellerophon attempted to ride Pegasus to Mount Olympus to join the gods, his hubris led to his downfall. Zeus sent a gadfly to sting Pegasus, causing Bellerophon to fall back to earth, while Pegasus continued his ascent to the heavens. This tale underscores the delicate balance between ambition and humility, a theme deeply woven into Pegasus's myth. Beyond his heroic exploits, Pegasus also became a symbol of poetic inspiration. The Muses, goddesses of the arts, were said to have created the sacred spring of Hippocrene by striking the ground with Pegasus's hoof. This spring became a source of creativity for poets and artists, further cementing Pegasus's role as a bringer of artistic and intellectual enlightenment. Pegasus's legacy extends far beyond ancient Greece. His image has inspired countless works of art, literature, and even modern media, from Renaissance paintings to contemporary fantasy stories. He remains a timeless emblem of freedom, imagination, and the enduring power of myth. As we reflect on Pegasus's story, we see how he embodies the dual nature of Medusa's blood, both a force of creation and a reminder of the consequences of hubris. His wings carry not only the weight of his own legend, but also the echoes of Medusa's cursed fate, forever linking their stories in the tapestry of mythology. With Pegasus's tale now soaring in our minds, we turn to the next chapter of Medusa's legacy, where her blood gives rise to another extraordinary figure, Chrysaor, the warrior with the golden sword. Now, as we delve into the lesser-known but equally fascinating tale of Chrysaor, we uncover another layer of Medusa's enduring legacy. Born alongside Pegasus from the blood of Medusa, Chrysaor emerged as a figure of immense power and strength, his very name meaning, "he who bears a golden sword." This golden sword was not just a weapon but a symbol of his divine heritage and the formidable force he represented in Greek mythology. Chrysaor's origins are as dramatic as they are mysterious. As Medusa's blood spilled into the sea, it gave life to both Pegasus and Chrysaor, each embodying different aspects of her cursed fate. While Pegasus soared into the heavens as a symbol of freedom and inspiration, Chrysaor remained grounded, a warrior whose presence commanded respect and awe. His golden sword, gleaming with divine light, became a testament to his role as a protector and enforcer of justice. Though Chrysaor's story is less detailed in ancient texts compared to Pegasus, his significance is undeniable. He is often depicted as a giant or a mighty warrior, his golden sword a reflection of his unyielding strength and authority. Some myths suggest that Chrysaor became a king, ruling over a distant land and establishing a lineage of powerful descendants. His connection to Medusa's blood ties him to themes of transformation and resilience, as he represents the raw, untamed power that can arise from even the darkest of origins. Chrysaor's golden sword also carries symbolic weight. In Greek mythology, gold often represents divinity, immortality, and the favor of the gods. By wielding such a weapon, Chrysaor embodies the idea that true strength comes not just from physical prowess but from a connection to something greater, a divine purpose or destiny. This makes him a compelling figure, one who bridges the mortal and divine realms, much like his winged brother, Pegasus. While Chrysaor's adventures are not as widely celebrated as those of Pegasus, his presence in mythology serves as a reminder of the multifaceted nature of Medusa's legacy. Where Pegasus represents creativity and freedom, Chrysaor embodies power and resilience, showing that even in the aftermath of tragedy, strength and purpose can emerge. Together, these two figures illustrate the duality of Medusa's blood, its capacity to create both beauty and might, inspiration and authority. As we reflect on Chrysaor's story, we see how he adds depth to the tapestry of Medusa's myth. His golden sword shines not just as a weapon but as a symbol of the enduring power that arises from even the most cursed of fates. And with this understanding, we now turn to the next chapter of Medusa's legacy, where her head becomes a weapon of both terror and protection in the hands of the hero Perseus. With Chrysaor's story behind us, we now step into the next chapter of Medusa's legacy, a chapter where her severed head becomes a weapon of both terror and salvation. After Perseus successfully beheaded Medusa, her head retained its petrifying power, and Perseus wasted no time in using it to his advantage. This gruesome yet fascinating artifact became a tool of immense power, shaping the course of his heroic journey. Perseus's first major use of Medusa's head came during his rescue of Andromeda. As he traveled along the coast, he encountered the beautiful princess chained to a rock, offered as a sacrifice to appease the sea monster Cetus. Without hesitation, Perseus confronted the beast, holding up Medusa's head to turn it to stone. The monster's petrified form became a monument to Perseus's bravery and ingenuity, and Andromeda was freed from her grim fate. This act not only saved her life but also cemented Perseus's reputation as a hero capable of overcoming even the most terrifying foes. But Perseus's use of Medusa's head didn't end there. Upon returning to Seriphos, he faced another challenge, the tyrannical king Polydex, who had sent Perseus on the deadly quest to retrieve Medusa's head in the hopes of getting rid of him. Polydex, confident that Perseus would never return, had continued his oppressive rule and even attempted to force Perseus's mother, Danae, into marriage. When Perseus arrived, he found the king and his court feasting, mocking the idea that he could have succeeded. In a moment of poetic justice, Perseus unveiled Medusa's head, turning Polydex and his followers to stone. This act not only avenged his mother but also liberated the island from the king's cruelty. Medusa's head, once a symbol of her cursed fate, became a weapon of retribution and protection in Perseus's hands. Its power to petrify was not just a curse but a tool for justice, used to defeat monsters and tyrants alike. This duality, its capacity for both destruction and salvation, adds another layer to Medusa's complex legacy. Her head, even in death, continued to shape the world, proving that even the most feared symbols can be wielded for good. As we reflect on Perseus's use of Medusa's head, we see how it became a pivotal element in his heroic journey. It was not just a weapon but a symbol of transformation, turning fear into strength and oppression into liberation. And with this understanding, we now turn to the next chapter of Medusa's story, where her head finds a new purpose as a symbol of divine protection on Athena's shield. After Perseus's heroic exploits with Medusa's head, the story takes another fascinating turn as the artifact finds its way into the hands of the goddess Athena. With her wisdom and foresight, Athena recognized the power of Medusa's head not just as a weapon but as a symbol of divine protection. She decided to place it on her shield, known as the Aegis, transforming it into an emblem of both terror and safeguarding. The Aegis, already a powerful symbol of Athena's authority, became even more formidable with the addition of Medusa's head. In Greek mythology, the Aegis was not just a shield but a sacred object imbued with divine power, often described as being made of goatskin and adorned with golden tassels. By adding Medusa's head to it, Athena elevated its significance, turning it into a tool that could strike fear into enemies while offering protection to her allies. The placement of Medusa's head on the Aegis carried deep symbolic meaning. On one hand, it represented the petrifying gaze of Medusa, a reminder of the consequences of defying the gods or facing Athena's wrath. On the other hand, it served as a protective talisman, warding off evil and harm. This duality mirrored Medusa's own complex legacy, her curse as a Gorgon and her transformation into a symbol of divine power. In battles and conflicts, the Aegis became a source of both inspiration and dread. Warriors who fought under Athena's banner drew courage from its protective aura, while enemies trembled at the sight of Medusa's head, knowing it could turn them to stone. The shield became a unifying symbol for Athena's followers, embodying her roles as a goddess of wisdom, warfare, and strategic prowess. Beyond its use in battle, the Aegis also held cultural and religious significance. It was often depicted in art and sculpture, with Medusa's head serving as a central motif. This imagery reinforced Athena's connection to Medusa, blending the Gorgon's fearsome reputation with the goddess's divine authority. Over time, the Aegis became one of the most recognizable symbols in Greek mythology, a testament to the enduring power of Medusa's story. As we explore this chapter of Medusa's legacy, we see how her head, once a symbol of her cursed fate, became a tool of divine protection and a lasting emblem of Athena's might. This transformation highlights the complexity of Medusa's myth, showing how even the most feared figures can be reinterpreted and given new meaning. And with this understanding, we now turn to the next chapter, where Medusa's story takes on new dimensions in the realm of Roman mythology. As we shift our focus to Roman mythology, we find that Medusa's story takes on a slightly different tone, reflecting the unique cultural and religious perspectives of ancient Rome. While the core elements of her myth remain intact, the Romans reinterpreted her tale to align with their own values and beliefs, offering a fresh lens through which to view this iconic figure. In Roman mythology, Medusa's origin story diverges from the Greek version in subtle but significant ways. Unlike the Greek narrative, which emphasizes her transformation as a punishment by Athena, Roman myths often portray Medusa as a more ambiguous figure from the start. Some Roman accounts suggest she was born a Gorgon, rather than becoming one through divine retribution. This shift in her origin story removes the element of victimhood present in the Greek tale, instead framing her as an inherently monstrous being. The curse of Medusa also undergoes a transformation in Roman retellings. While her petrifying gaze and serpentine hair remain central to her identity, the Romans placed greater emphasis on her role as a protector and a symbol of power. Medusa's head, known as the Gorgonaeon, was widely used in Roman art and architecture as a protective emblem. It adorned shields, temples, and even household items, serving as a talisman to ward off evil spirits and misfortune. This adaptation highlights the Romans' pragmatic approach to mythology, where even fearsome figures could be repurposed for practical and spiritual purposes. Culturally, Medusa's significance in Roman mythology reflects the empire's broader fascination with blending and adapting Greek myths. The Romans often absorbed Greek deities and stories into their own pantheon, but they reinterpreted them to reflect Roman values such as strength, order, and protection. Medusa, in this context, became less of a tragic figure and more of a symbol of resilience and divine authority. Her image was frequently associated with the goddess Minerva, the Roman counterpart to Athena, further cementing her role as a guardian and a source of power. Interestingly, Roman myths also explore the duality of Medusa's nature in ways that differ from Greek interpretations. While the Greeks often emphasized her monstrous qualities, the Romans occasionally portrayed her as a more complex character, capable of both destruction and protection. This nuanced portrayal allowed Medusa to transcend her role as a mere villain, becoming a multifaceted symbol that resonated with Roman audiences. As we delve deeper into Medusa's Roman legacy, it becomes clear that her story is not static but evolves with the cultural context in which it is told. The Roman reinterpretation of her myth offers a fascinating contrast to the Greek version, showcasing how mythology adapts to reflect the values and priorities of different societies. With this understanding, we now turn to the next chapter, where Medusa's story intersects with the legendary Libyan Amazons, adding yet another layer to her enduring legacy. Now let's journey to the sands of ancient Libya, where Medusa's story takes an unexpected turn, intertwining her fate with the legendary Libyan Amazons. This lesser-known myth paints Medusa not just as a cursed Gorgon, but as a powerful queen and leader of a fierce warrior tribe. In this interpretation, Medusa's connection to the Amazons adds a fascinating layer to her myth, blending her monstrous identity with themes of strength, independence, and cultural significance. According to some ancient accounts, Medusa was not merely a solitary figure dwelling on the island of Sarpedon. Instead, she was said to rule over the Libyan Amazons, a tribe of warrior women who were renowned for their skill in battle and their matriarchal society. As their queen, Medusa embodied both the terror and the majesty of her people. Her petrifying gaze and serpentine hair, once symbols of her curse, became emblems of her authority and the fearsome power she wielded over her enemies. This version of Medusa's story shifts her from a tragic victim to a commanding leader, challenging the traditional narrative of her as a passive figure punished by the gods. Instead, she becomes a symbol of female empowerment, ruling over a society where women held dominion and men were often subservient. The Libyan Amazons, much like Medusa herself, were seen as both awe-inspiring and terrifying, embodying the duality of strength and danger that Medusa represents. Culturally, this interpretation of Medusa as an Amazon queen reflects the ancient world's fascination with powerful women who defied societal norms. The Amazons, in general, were often depicted as outsiders women who lived beyond the boundaries of traditional patriarchal societies. By linking Medusa to this tribe, the myth underscores her role as a boundary crosser, a figure who exists outside the norms of both mortal and divine realms. The connection between Medusa and the Libyan Amazons also highlights the fluidity of myth. Just as the Romans reinterpreted her story to align with their values, this version adapts her tale to reflect the ideals of a warrior culture. Medusa's transformation into a queen and protector of her people mirrors the Amazons' own reputation as defenders of their land and way of life. This myth also raises intriguing questions about the intersection of gender, power, and mythology. By portraying Medusa as a leader of the Amazons, the story challenges traditional gender roles and offers a counter-narrative to the more familiar tales of male heroes and gods. It invites us to reconsider Medusa not just as a monster, but as a complex figure who embodies both the fears and aspirations of the societies that told her story. As we explore this chapter of Medusa's myth, it becomes clear that her legacy is far more multifaceted than it first appears. Whether as a cursed Gorgon, a divine protector, or a warrior queen, Medusa's story continues to evolve, reflecting the values and imaginations of those who tell it. With this in mind, we now turn to another fascinating aspect of her myth, her transformation into a symbol of female rage and empowerment, a theme that resonates deeply in modern interpretations of her story. Now, let's shift our focus to a more modern interpretation of Medusa's myth, one that has transformed her from a cursed monster into a powerful symbol of female rage and empowerment. In recent years, Medusa's story has been reclaimed by feminist thinkers and artists who see her not as a villain, but as a figure of resistance against patriarchal oppression. This reinterpretation invites us to view her curse not as a punishment, but as a manifestation of her strength and defiance. At the heart of this perspective is the idea that Medusa's transformation into a Gorgon was not merely an act of divine retribution, but a response to her victimization. According to this reading, Medusa's petrifying gaze and serpentine hair become symbols of her refusal to be silenced or subdued. Her ability to turn men to stone is reimagined as a form of self-defense, a way for her to reclaim power in a world that sought to diminish her. This feminist reinterpretation also highlights the ways in which Medusa's story reflects broader societal fears of powerful women. In ancient myths, her monstrous appearance served as a warning against female autonomy and strength. But in modern retellings, her image is flipped. Her very monstrosity becomes a source of empowerment. Medusa's rage is no longer something to be feared, but something to be respected, a testament to her resilience in the face of injustice. Artists and writers have embraced this version of Medusa, using her image to challenge traditional gender roles and celebrate female agency. In literature, she has been reimagined as a tragic heroine, a woman wronged by the gods who refuses to be broken. In visual art, her fierce gaze and serpentine hair are depicted as symbols of unapologetic strength, a reminder that women have the right to be angry, to fight back, and to demand justice. This shift in Medusa's narrative also speaks to the broader cultural movement of reclaiming female figures who have been vilified or misunderstood. By reframing her story, feminists have turned Medusa into a rallying cry for women who have been marginalized or oppressed. She becomes a symbol of the collective rage felt by women throughout history, a reminder that anger can be a powerful tool for change. As we explore this modern interpretation of Medusa, it's clear that her myth continues to evolve, reflecting the values and struggles of each new generation. Whether as a cursed Gorgon, a warrior queen, or a feminist icon, Medusa's story remains a powerful reminder of the complexities of power, gender, and identity. And as we move forward, we'll see how her legacy continues to inspire and challenge us, offering new ways to understand her enduring place in mythology and culture. With this in mind, we now turn to another fascinating aspect of Medusa's myth, her portrayal in ancient art and sculpture, where her image was used to convey both terror and protection, leaving a lasting mark on the visual culture of the ancient world. Now, let's step into the world of ancient art and sculpture, where Medusa's image was not only a source of terror but also a symbol of protection. In the ancient world, Medusa's face was a common motif, appearing on everything from grand temples to everyday pottery. Her striking visage, with its wild snakes and piercing gaze, was used to ward off evil and bring good fortune, making her one of the most recognizable figures in ancient art. One of the most iconic uses of Medusa's image was on the Gorgon, a protective amulet featuring her head. This symbol was often placed on shields, armor, and even city walls, serving as a powerful deterrent against enemies. The ancient Greeks believed that Medusa's gaze could turn anyone to stone, so her image was used to strike fear into the hearts of adversaries. But beyond its defensive purpose, the Gorgon also carried a deeper meaning. It represented the balance between destruction and protection, a reminder of the dual nature of power. Medusa's image also adorned temples and sacred spaces where it was believed to guard against harm. For instance, the Temple of Artemis in Corfu features a massive pediment with Medusa at its center, her fierce expression and coiled snakes dominating the scene. This placement wasn't just decorative, it was symbolic, emphasizing her role as a protector of sacred spaces. Over time, her image evolved, becoming less monstrous and more humanized, reflecting changing attitudes toward her myth. On pottery, Medusa's face was a popular subject, often depicted in vivid detail. Artists used her image to tell stories, capturing moments from her myth, such as her encounter with Perseus or the birth of Pegasus. These depictions weren't just artistic expressions, they were also a way to keep her story alive, passing it down through generations. As her image spread across the ancient world, it took on new meanings, blending with local traditions and beliefs. Interestingly, the way Medusa was portrayed in art changed over time. Early depictions emphasized her monstrous features with exaggerated expressions and wild serpentine hair. But as her story became more nuanced, so did her image. Later artists began to soften her features, giving her a more human appearance. This shift reflects a growing understanding of Medusa as a complex figure, one who was both a victim and a symbol of power. Through these ancient artworks, we see how Medusa's image was used to convey a range of ideas, from fear and protection to transformation and resilience. Her face, once a symbol of terror, became a powerful emblem of survival, a testament to her enduring legacy in art and culture. As we move forward, we'll explore how this legacy continued to evolve, shaping the way we see Medusa today. Now, let's turn our attention to the world of literature, where Medusa's story takes on a new dimension through the lens of one of the most influential poets of the ancient world, Ovid. In his epic work Metamorphoses, Ovid retells Medusa's tale with a focus on her transformation and the tragic circumstances that led to her curse. This version of her story not only shaped how later generations viewed Medusa, but also highlighted her role as a victim of divine injustice. Ovid's account begins with Medusa as a beautiful maiden, a priestess of Athena, whose life takes a devastating turn when she catches the eye of Poseidon. In this retelling, Medusa is not a willing participant in the events that unfold. Instead, she becomes a victim of Poseidon's advances, which take place in Athena's sacred temple. This act of desecration angers Athena, who, rather than punishing Poseidon, directs her wrath toward Medusa. The goddess transforms Medusa's hair into snakes and curses her with a gaze that turns men to stone. Ovid's portrayal emphasizes the unfairness of Medusa's punishment, painting her as a tragic figure caught in the crossfire of divine power struggles. What makes Ovid's version particularly significant is its emphasis on Medusa's victimhood. Unlike earlier myths, which often depicted her as a monstrous figure to be feared, Ovid's retelling invites sympathy for her plight. He shifts the narrative to focus on the injustice she suffers, framing her transformation as a cruel act of retribution rather than a deserved punishment. This perspective resonated deeply with later audiences, influencing how Medusa was perceived in art, literature, and even modern interpretations. Ovid's Metamorphoses also played a key role in shaping the way Medusa's story was told in later centuries. His vivid descriptions and emotional depth brought her character to life in a way that previous accounts had not. By highlighting her humanity and the tragedy of her fate, Ovid ensured that Medusa's story would continue to be retold and reinterpreted, often with a focus on themes of victimization and resilience. This literary retelling also had a profound impact on how Medusa was viewed in the context of broader cultural narratives. Ovid's emphasis on her suffering and the injustice of her curse laid the groundwork for later interpretations that saw her as a symbol of female rage and empowerment. His version of the story challenged traditional notions of heroism and villainy, inviting readers to question the morality of the gods and the systems of power that shaped Medusa's fate. As we move forward, we'll see how Ovid's portrayal of Medusa influenced not only literature but also art, philosophy, and even modern feminist thought. His retelling remains a cornerstone of her myth, reminding us that Medusa's story is not just one of terror and monstrosity, but also of tragedy, resilience, and the enduring power of storytelling. Now, let's step into the modern era where Medusa's story continues to captivate audiences, but this time through the lens of contemporary media. From blockbuster films to best-selling novels and immersive video games, Medusa's myth has been reimagined in countless ways, reflecting the evolving values and interests of modern culture. In films, Medusa often appears as a symbol of both terror and tragedy. One of the most iconic portrayals comes from the 1981 fantasy film Clash of the Titans, where she is depicted as a fearsome monster, her serpentine hair and petrifying gaze brought to life with groundbreaking special effects for the time. This version of Medusa leans heavily into her monstrous qualities, emphasizing the danger she poses to the hero Perseus. However, more recent adaptations, like the 2010 remake of Clash of the Titans and its sequel, Wrath of the Titans, add layers to her character, exploring her backstory and the injustice of her curse. These films invite viewers to see Medusa not just as a villain, but as a complex figure shaped by the cruelty of the gods. Books, too, have reimagined Medusa's story, often giving her a voice that ancient myths denied her. Novels like The Medusa Amulet by Robert Maslow and Medusa's Web by Tim Powers weave her myth into thrilling narratives, blending ancient lore with modern storytelling techniques. Meanwhile, feminist retellings such as Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes focus on Medusa's perspective, portraying her as a victim of divine manipulation rather than a monster. These works challenge traditional interpretations, inviting readers to reconsider her story through a more empathetic lens. Video games have also embraced Medusa's myth, using her as both a formidable foe and a source of inspiration. In games like God of War and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, she appears as a boss character, her petrifying gaze and serpentine form posing a significant challenge to players. These portrayals often emphasize her power and otherworldly nature, making her a memorable antagonist. At the same time, games like Hades take a more nuanced approach, presenting Medusa, or Dusa, as she's affectionately called, as a sympathetic character working to overcome her cursed fate. This blend of horror and humanity keeps her myth relevant to new generations of players. What makes Medusa's presence in modern media so compelling is the way her story adapts to reflect contemporary themes. Whether she's a terrifying monster, a tragic victim, or a symbol of empowerment, her myth resonates because it speaks to universal truths about power, injustice, and resilience. Each retelling adds a new layer to her legacy, ensuring that Medusa remains a figure of fascination in our collective imagination. As we continue to explore her enduring influence, we'll see how Medusa's myth has inspired not just stories, but also movements and ideologies, proving that her tale is as relevant today as it was in ancient times. Now, let's shift our focus to a fascinating aspect of Medusa's myth, her role as an archetype of the monstrous feminine. This concept explores how female figures in mythology, like Medusa, embody both beauty and terror, challenging traditional gender norms and reflecting societal fears about female power. Medusa, with her serpent hair and petrifying gaze, has long been a symbol of the dangerous, untamed woman, a figure who defies control and inspires both awe and dread. In many ancient cultures, women who wielded power or defied societal expectations were often portrayed as monstrous or unnatural. Medusa's transformation into a Gorgon can be seen as a reflection of this fear. Once a beautiful priestess, her curse turned her into a creature that could not be dominated or subdued. Her very existence became a threat to the patriarchal order, as her gaze could render men powerless, literally turning them to stone. This duality of beauty and monstrosity makes her a compelling figure in the study of gender and power dynamics. The monstrous feminine archetype also highlights the ways in which society has historically demonized women who step outside prescribed roles. Medusa's story, in particular, has been interpreted as a cautionary tale about the consequences of female autonomy. Her punishment by Athena, often seen as a betrayal by a fellow woman, underscores the internalized misogyny present in many myths. Yet, Medusa's enduring legacy also speaks to her resilience. Despite being cursed and isolated, she remains a figure of immense power, one who cannot be easily dismissed or forgotten. In modern interpretations, Medusa has been reclaimed as a symbol of female empowerment and resistance. Feminist scholars and artists have reframed her story, emphasizing her victimhood and the injustice of her curse. By doing so, they challenge the traditional narrative that paints her as a villain, instead portraying her as a tragic figure who was wronged by the gods and society. This reinterpretation invites us to question the ways in which women are often vilified for asserting their strength or independence. Medusa's myth also resonates with contemporary discussions about the fear of female rage. Her transformation can be seen as a metaphor for the way society often punishes women for expressing anger or defiance. Yet, her story also offers a powerful counter-narrative, one that celebrates the strength and resilience of women who refuse to be silenced. In this way, Medusa becomes not just a monster, but a symbol of resistance against oppression and a reminder of the enduring power of the feminine spirit. As we continue to explore Medusa's legacy, it's clear that her myth is far more than a tale of curses and monsters. It's a reflection of the complex ways in which society views women, power, and autonomy, a story that continues to evolve and inspire new interpretations. Next, we'll delve into the symbolism of snakes in Medusa's myth and their significance across cultures, uncovering yet another layer of her enduring fascination. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most striking and symbolic elements of Medusa's myth, her connection to snakes. The serpents that writhe in place of her hair are not just a mark of her curse, they carry deep symbolic meaning that resonates across cultures and time. Snakes have long been associated with transformation, danger, and wisdom, and in Medusa's story, they serve as a powerful representation of these themes. In many ancient traditions, snakes are seen as creatures of duality. They shed their skin, symbolizing rebirth and transformation, yet their venom can bring death, embodying danger and fear. This duality is mirrored in Medusa herself, a figure who is both terrifying and fascinating, a symbol of destruction and renewal. The snakes in her hair amplify this tension, making her a living embodiment of the unpredictable and the unknown. Across cultures, snakes have been revered as symbols of wisdom and healing. In Greek mythology, the god Asclepius, associated with medicine, carried a staff entwined with a serpent, a symbol still used in modern medical imagery. Similarly, in Hindu and Buddhist traditions, snakes are often linked to spiritual awakening and the life force. Yet, they also represent chaos and danger, as seen in the biblical story of the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Medusa's snakes capture this dual nature, reflecting both the destructive and enlightening aspects of her myth. The association of snakes with Medusa also ties into their role as guardians of sacred knowledge. In many myths, serpents are protectors of hidden truths or treasures, often found in places of great power or mystery. Medusa's lair, remote and perilous, aligns with this idea as she becomes a guardian of sorts, a figure who holds immense power but at a great cost. Her snakes, then, are not just a curse but a mark of her connection to the divine and the forbidden. In modern interpretations, the snakes in Medusa's hair have taken on new layers of meaning. They are often seen as a symbol of female power and resilience, representing the ability to transform pain into strength. Just as a snake sheds its skin, Medusa's story invites us to consider how adversity can lead to growth and empowerment. Her serpents, once a sign of her curse, have become a powerful emblem of her enduring legacy. As we reflect on the symbolism of snakes in Medusa's myth, it's clear that they are far more than a mere detail. They are a key to understanding her complex nature and the broader themes of transformation, danger, and wisdom that her story embodies. Next, we'll explore the Gorgon, the protective amulet featuring Medusa's head, and its role in ancient Greek culture, uncovering yet another fascinating layer of her myth. Now, let's shift our focus to one of the most intriguing aspects of Medusa's legacy, the Gorgon. This ancient amulet, featuring the fearsome visage of Medusa's head, was more than just a decorative piece. It held profound significance in Greek culture as a powerful symbol of protection. The Gorgon was believed to ward off evil, acting as a shield against harm and misfortune. Its origins trace back to the myth of Perseus, who, after slaying Medusa, presented her head to Athena. The goddess then placed it on her shield, the Aegis, transforming it into a divine tool of defense. The Gorgon's design was striking and unmistakable. Medusa's face, often depicted with wide eyes, a gaping mouth, and writhing snakes, was meant to instill fear and awe. This terrifying image served a specific purpose. It was apotropaic, meaning it was designed to turn away evil. In ancient Greece, such symbols were commonly used to protect homes, temples, and even warriors in battle. The Gorgon was thought to paralyze enemies with fear, much like Medusa's gaze, making it a potent emblem of both protection and intimidation. Beyond its protective qualities, the Gorgon also carried deeper symbolic meanings. It represented the power of the gods and the ability to overcome chaos and danger. By wearing or displaying the Gorgon, individuals sought to harness Medusa's fearsome energy, using it as a means of safeguarding themselves and their communities. This connection between Medusa and protection highlights the duality of her myth. She was both a bringer of destruction and a source of safety, embodying the balance between fear and power. The Gorgon's influence extended beyond Greece, appearing in various forms across the ancient world. From Roman mosaics to Etruscan jewelry, the image of Medusa's head became a universal symbol of protection and divine favor. Its enduring presence in art and culture underscores the lasting impact of Medusa's story and the fascination she continues to inspire. As we explore the Gorgon, it becomes clear that Medusa's head was far more than a trophy of Perseus's victory. It was a sacred object imbued with the power to protect and transform. This amulet not only reflects the ancient belief in the supernatural, but also reinforces Medusa's role as a figure of both terror and reverence. Next, we'll delve into the myth of Medusa's petrifying gaze, examining its deeper meanings and the lessons it holds about fear, power, and the consequences of looking directly at danger. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most iconic elements of Medusa's myth, her petrifying gaze. This chilling aspect of her curse has captivated imaginations for centuries, serving as a powerful metaphor for fear, power, and the consequences of confronting danger or truth head-on. Medusa's ability to turn anyone who looked directly at her into stone is more than just a terrifying detail. It's a profound symbol of the dangers of unchecked curiosity and the paralyzing effects of fear. At its core, Medusa's gaze represents the overwhelming power of fear itself. Just as her stare could freeze her victims in place, fear has the ability to immobilize us, preventing action and clouding judgment. This metaphor extends beyond the myth, reflecting how fear can dominate our lives, leaving us unable to move forward or face challenges. Medusa's gaze, then, becomes a cautionary tale about the dangers of allowing fear to control us, reminding us of the importance of courage and resilience in the face of adversity. But Medusa's gaze also symbolizes the consequences of confronting uncomfortable truths. In many interpretations, her curse is seen as a punishment for her own beauty and the attention it drew, particularly from the gods. Her transformation into a Gorgon and the deadly power of her gaze can be understood as a reflection of the dangers of looking too closely at things society deems taboo or forbidden. This idea resonates with the concept of forbidden knowledge, how seeking truth, especially when it challenges the status quo, can come with significant risks. Medusa's story warns us that the pursuit of truth, while noble, can sometimes lead to devastating consequences. Interestingly, the myth also explores the duality of power. Medusa's gaze is both a curse and a weapon, a source of destruction and protection. While it brings death to those who meet her eyes, it also serves as a tool for Perseus, who uses her severed head to defeat his enemies. This duality reflects the complex nature of power itself, how it can be used for both harm and good, depending on who wields it and how it is applied. Medusa's gaze, then, becomes a symbol of the responsibility that comes with power and the fine line between using it to protect or to destroy. The enduring fascination with Medusa's gaze speaks to its universal relevance. It's a reminder of the human experience, how fear, truth, and power shape our lives in profound ways. Whether as a metaphor for the paralyzing effects of fear or the risks of seeking truth, Medusa's story continues to resonate, offering timeless lessons about the complexities of human nature. As we reflect on the power of Medusa's gaze, we're reminded of the delicate balance between curiosity and caution, fear and courage, destruction and protection. Next, we'll explore how Medusa's legacy has been reclaimed in modern times, transforming her from a monstrous figure into a symbol of empowerment and resilience. Now, let's shift our focus to a modern reinterpretation of Medusa's story, one that has transformed her from a feared monster into a powerful symbol of feminism. Over the years, Medusa's myth has been reimagined, with many seeing her not as a cursed figure but as a representation of resilience, transformation, and the reclamation of power. This shift in perspective has turned her into an icon for those seeking to challenge societal norms and reclaim narratives that have long been dominated by patriarchal interpretations. At the heart of this feminist reclamation is the idea that Medusa's story is one of survival and strength. Rather than viewing her transformation as a punishment, many now see it as an act of empowerment. Her ability to turn men to stone, once seen as a curse, is reinterpreted as a form of self-defense, a way for Medusa to protect herself from further harm. This perspective reframes her as a figure who took control of her own narrative, using her newfound power to assert her autonomy in a world that sought to silence her. Medusa's story also resonates deeply with themes of transformation and resilience. Her journey from a beautiful priestess to a feared Gorgon mirrors the experiences of many women who have been forced to adapt and endure in the face of adversity. Her ability to survive and thrive despite being cast out and vilified serves as a powerful metaphor for the strength and resilience of women throughout history. In this light, Medusa becomes a symbol of transformation, not as a loss of identity, but as a reclaiming of power in the face of oppression. The feminist reinterpretation of Medusa also challenges the traditional portrayal of her as a monstrous figure. Instead, she is celebrated as a complex character who embodies both vulnerability and strength. Her story is seen as a critique of the ways in which women are often demonized for asserting their independence or challenging societal expectations. By reclaiming Medusa, feminists highlight the ways in which women have been historically punished for their beauty, their voices, or their refusal to conform. This modern take on Medusa's myth has also inspired art, literature, and activism. From feminist art installations to contemporary retellings of her story, Medusa has become a rallying point for those seeking to challenge patriarchal structures and celebrate female empowerment. Her image, once used to instill fear, is now embraced as a symbol of defiance and resilience. As we explore Medusa's legacy in feminism, it's clear that her story continues to evolve, offering new layers of meaning and relevance. She stands as a testament to the power of reclaiming one's narrative and transforming pain into strength. Next, we'll delve into the psychological interpretations of Medusa's myth, examining how her story has been analyzed through the lens of human behavior and emotion. Now, let's turn our attention to the psychological interpretations of Medusa's myth, where her story takes on a deeper, more symbolic meaning. Through the lens of psychology, Medusa becomes more than just a figure of myth. She transforms into a representation of human fears, desires, and the complexities of the mind. One of the most notable interpretations comes from Sigmund Freud, who saw Medusa as a symbol of castration anxiety. Freud argued that the image of Medusa's head, with its writhing snakes and petrifying gaze, evoked a primal fear of emasculation. Her ability to turn men to stone was interpreted as a metaphor for the paralyzing fear of losing power or control, particularly in the context of male anxieties surrounding masculinity and dominance. This perspective frames Medusa not just as a monster, but as a manifestation of deep-seated psychological fears. Moving beyond Freud, Carl Jung offered a different take on Medusa's myth through his concept of archetypes. Jung saw Medusa as an embodiment of the terrible mother archetype, a figure who represents both creation and destruction, nurturing and danger. In this view, Medusa's dual nature as both beautiful and monstrous reflects the duality of the human psyche where light and shadow coexist. Her transformation into a Gorgon symbolizes the process of confronting and integrating one's darker, more primal instincts. For Jung, Medusa's story is not just about fear, but about the journey of self-discovery and the reconciliation of opposing forces within the self. These psychological interpretations also highlight the ways in which Medusa's myth resonates with universal human experiences. Her story speaks to the fear of the unknown, the struggle for self-identity, and the tension between vulnerability and power. Whether viewed through Freud's lens of anxiety or Jung's archetypal framework, Medusa becomes a mirror for the human condition, reflecting our deepest fears and desires. Interestingly, modern psychology has also revisited Medusa's myth, exploring her as a symbol of trauma and resilience. Her transformation can be seen as a metaphor for the ways in which trauma reshapes a person, forcing them to adapt and survive in a world that often misunderstands or fears them. In this light, Medusa's story becomes one of endurance as she navigates the aftermath of her curse and finds a way to reclaim her agency. As we delve into these psychological perspectives, it's clear that Medusa's myth offers a rich tapestry of meaning, inviting us to explore the intersections of fear, identity, and transformation. Her story continues to captivate not just as a tale of ancient mythology, but as a profound exploration of the human psyche. Next, we'll examine Medusa's role in the hero's journey, where she serves as a threshold guardian and a test of courage for those who dare to face her. Now, let's shift our focus to Medusa's role in the hero's journey, where she emerges as a pivotal figure in the path of legendary heroes. In the framework of the hero's journey, Medusa serves as a threshold guardian, a formidable obstacle that tests the hero's courage, resourcefulness, and resolve. For Perseus, the young demigod tasked with slaying her, Medusa represents not just a physical challenge, but a symbolic trial that marks his transformation from an ordinary man into a true hero. Medusa's lair, hidden away on the remote island of Sarpedon, becomes the ultimate proving ground. To reach her, Perseus must navigate a series of trials, each designed to push him to his limits. From outsmarting the Griae, the three ancient sisters who guard the location of the Gorgons, to receiving divine gifts from the gods, Perseus's journey is a masterclass in ingenuity and determination. These challenges underscore the idea that the hero's journey is not just about physical strength, but also about mental acuity and the ability to adapt in the face of overwhelming odds. When Perseus finally confronts Medusa, her petrifying gaze becomes the ultimate test of his bravery and cleverness. Armed with Athena's polished shield, which allows him to avoid direct eye contact, Perseus uses strategy rather than brute force to defeat her. This moment highlights a key theme of the hero's journey, the importance of wisdom and resourcefulness over sheer power. Medusa, as a threshold guardian, forces Perseus to confront his fears and think creatively, proving that true heroism lies in overcoming adversity through intelligence and courage. But Medusa's role in the hero's journey extends beyond her confrontation with Perseus. Her defeat marks a turning point in his story, symbolizing the hero's triumph over chaos and the unknown. By claiming her head, Perseus not only secures a powerful weapon, but also solidifies his status as a legendary figure. Medusa's head, with its ability to turn enemies to stone, becomes a tool for Perseus to rescue Andromeda and defeat the tyrant Polydex, further cementing his place in myth as a protector and savior. In this way, Medusa's story is deeply intertwined with the archetype of the hero's journey. She is not merely an obstacle to be overcome, but a catalyst for transformation. Her curse, her power, and her ultimate defeat all serve to highlight the qualities that define a hero: courage, ingenuity, and the ability to face the unknown with resolve. As we explore the next chapter of Medusa's legacy, we'll see how her myth continues to inspire and challenge heroes in ways that resonate far beyond the ancient world. Now, let's turn our attention to how Medusa's myth has left an indelible mark on modern mythology, shaping stories and characters in ways that continue to captivate audiences today. Her tale, rich with themes of transformation, power, and resilience, has inspired countless adaptations in fantasy literature, film, and even video games, proving that her legacy is far from confined to the ancient world. In fantasy literature, Medusa's influence is unmistakable. Authors often draw on her archetype to create powerful, enigmatic female characters who embody both danger and allure. For instance, in Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series, Medusa appears as a modernized version of herself, blending her ancient curse with contemporary settings. This reimagining not only introduces her myth to a new generation, but also explores the complexities of her character, portraying her as more than just a monster. Similarly, in Neil Gaiman's American Gods, Medusa's essence is echoed in characters who wield both beauty and terror, reflecting the duality that defines her myth. Medusa's impact extends beyond books into the realm of film and television. In movies like Clash of the Titans, her story is brought to life with stunning visuals, emphasizing her role as a formidable adversary. These adaptations often highlight her petrifying gaze and the hero's struggle to outwit her, staying true to the core elements of her myth while adding modern twists. Even in animated films such as Disney's Hercules, Medusa's influence can be seen in characters who challenge the hero with their cunning and power. Video games, too, have embraced Medusa's myth, using her as a symbol of ultimate challenge and transformation. In games like God of War and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, players encounter Medusa-inspired characters who serve as powerful bosses, testing their skills and strategy. These portrayals often emphasize her role as a threshold guardian, forcing players to think creatively and adapt to overcome her. Beyond entertainment, Medusa's myth has also found its way into modern symbolism and art. She has become a powerful icon in feminist discourse, representing female rage and empowerment. Contemporary artists and activists often use her image to challenge societal norms and reclaim narratives of strength and resilience. This reinterpretation of Medusa as a symbol of defiance and transformation shows how her myth continues to evolve, resonating with new audiences in profound ways. As we reflect on Medusa's influence on modern mythology, it's clear that her story is not just a relic of the past but a living, breathing narrative that continues to inspire and challenge. Her myth reminds us of the enduring power of storytelling and how ancient tales can be reimagined to reflect the complexities of our own world. Next, we'll explore how Medusa's story serves as a cautionary tale, offering timeless lessons about hubris, divine retribution, and the consequences of defying the gods. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on Medusa's story as more than just a myth. It's a cautionary tale that carries timeless lessons about hubris, divine retribution, and the dangers of defying the gods. At its core, Medusa's transformation into a Gorgon serves as a stark reminder of the consequences that can arise from overstepping boundaries, whether human or divine. Her story warns us of the perils of arrogance and the unpredictable nature of divine justice, themes that resonate just as strongly today as they did in ancient times. Medusa's curse began with her beauty, a gift that ultimately became her downfall. As a priestess of Athena, she was expected to live a life of devotion and purity. However, her encounter with Poseidon in Athena's temple crossed a sacred line, provoking the goddess's wrath. This act of defiance, whether voluntary or not, led to her transformation into a monster. Here, the myth underscores the idea that even the most beautiful or powerful among us are not immune to the consequences of their actions. It's a lesson in humility, reminding us that no one is above the laws of the gods, or, in a modern context, the moral and ethical codes that govern society. But Medusa's story also highlights the harshness of divine retribution. Athena's punishment was severe, stripping Medusa of her humanity and condemning her to a life of isolation and fear. This aspect of the myth raises questions about justice and proportionality. Was Medusa's transformation a fair response to her actions, or was it an overreaction fueled by divine pride? The ambiguity here invites us to consider the balance between accountability and mercy, a theme that remains relevant in discussions of justice and punishment today. Beyond the individual, Medusa's curse serves as a broader warning about the dangers of hubris, excessive pride, or self-confidence. In Greek mythology, hubris was often the downfall of heroes and mortals alike, leading to their ruin. Medusa's story is no exception. Her beauty and status as a priestess may have given her a sense of invincibility, but her encounter with Poseidon shattered that illusion. This cautionary element of her myth reminds us that no matter how high we rise, we must remain mindful of our limitations and the forces beyond our control. Finally, Medusa's tale invites us to reflect on the consequences of defying the gods, or, in a modern sense, challenging the natural order or societal norms. Her transformation into a Gorgon was not just a personal tragedy, but a symbol of the chaos that can arise when boundaries are crossed. It's a reminder that actions have consequences, and that those consequences can ripple far beyond the individual, affecting others and the world around us. As we consider Medusa's story as a cautionary tale, it's clear that her myth offers more than just a thrilling narrative. It provides a lens through which we can examine themes of pride, justice, and accountability, encouraging us to reflect on our own actions and their potential impact. With this in mind, let's now turn to the final chapter of our exploration, where we'll summarize the enduring legacy of Medusa and the lessons her story continues to teach us. As we bring our journey through the myths of Medusa to a close, it's clear that her story is far more than a tale of curses and monsters. Across the 25 myths we've explored, Medusa emerges as a figure of profound complexity, a symbol of beauty and terror, victimhood and power, isolation and legacy. Her transformation from a mortal priestess to a feared Gorgon reflects the timeless themes of divine retribution, the fragility of human pride, and the consequences of crossing sacred boundaries. Yet her story also resonates with themes of resilience and transformation, as her image has been reclaimed in modern times as a symbol of empowerment and defiance. From her origins as one of the Gorgon sisters to her role in the heroics of Perseus, and from the birth of Pegasus to her enduring presence in art and literature, Medusa's myth has shaped cultures and inspired countless interpretations. Her head, once a weapon of destruction, became a protective emblem on Athena's shield, symbolizing both fear and power. In modern media, she has been reimagined as a feminist icon, challenging traditional narratives and reclaiming her story from the shadows of victimhood. Medusa's legacy is a testament to the enduring power of myth to reflect and shape our understanding of the world. Her story invites us to question the nature of justice, the balance of power, and the ways in which we interpret the past. It reminds us that myths are not static, they evolve, carrying new meanings for each generation. So, what does Medusa's story mean to you? Does she represent a cautionary tale, a symbol of empowerment, or something entirely different? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to join us as we continue exploring the fascinating world of mythology. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep discovering the stories that shape our world.